I'm David Froelich, and I would like to welcome everyone to the presentation tonight, which is going to be very informative, I know. And JNF still plants trees, but it's not for trees. It's for a whole lot more. And to open the program, I'm going to call, is Rabbi here? Rabbi Rubenstein, is he here? Rabbi?
You didn't do it. Okay, thank you.
Rabbi Rubenstein to open the program. Go ahead, Rabbi.
Okay, so I wanted to just say hello to everybody, and also very quickly apologizing that I'm going to have to hop out shortly to study Torah with people that I have a weekly online commitment to study with. But I wanted to say a minute or two about my own life and JNF. When I was a youngster growing up in Matawan, New Jersey, the JNF of my childhood was the blue and white box. And I remember walking around with that box and actually soliciting funds. It was a totally different era from people in my neighborhood. And fast forward to my child going off to Israel. This is my daughter who's at Kennesaw, and that learning about a very different JNF and their relationship with Alexander Muss High School, AMHSI, and learning really a whole lot about, I guess you could say, a legacy brand that really reinvented itself in a lot of interesting ways. So that's been fascinating for me to learn about personally, but also, and this is a big thank you to David. It was a while back, David will remember what year, where we had somebody from JNF speaking in the little shul, in the little chapel, and he was talking about farming in the Negev and about really adapting agriculture to a very severe environment. And because he was talking really from the perspective of a guy with the dirt underneath his fingernails, that was just a fascinating set of remarks. And so all that by way of saying, in calling us together as a group that works on behalf of sacred work, that we pray that God bless the work of JNF going forward, and that it takes root, and that we see it flourish in the future. So wonderful to see you this evening.
Amen. Thank you, Rabbi.
Yeah, thank you. Rabbi alluded to the gentleman. He was here about 4 or 5 years ago. I'll get the name in a second, but anyway, moving along, I want to turn the program over to Sam Richardson, who's the Director of Small Community Outreach for JNF. He will introduce our speaker, and hopefully after the speaker's presentation, we will have time for Q&A. So, Sam?
Thank you very much, David. And again, thank you to Rabbi. Good evening, everyone. And I'd like to take just a few moments to share with you some things you may not know about the Jewish National Fund. And of course, that is, we are more than trees. We actually have 7 project domains: forestry and green innovations, which you are probably familiar with, but also education and advocacy, research and development in agriculture and environmental studies, community building, heritage site preservation, disabilities and special needs, and water solutions. And just as JNF is more than trees, we're also more than cities. JNF provides a voice for many partners and lay leaders who live and work beyond the large Jewish communities in our metropolitan areas. And also, although the phrase American Jewish community often brings to mind New York, Los Angeles, Miami, Chicago, as you all know, there are hundreds of thousands of Jewish Americans who live in places like Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Grand Junction, Colorado, where I'm from, Eugene, Oregon, and Macon, Georgia. In fact, there are over 200 Jewish communities in the United States with fewer than 5,000 members. And most of those communities have been around for 135 years or more. And those of us who live in small Jewish communities, we do Judaism a little bit differently than do our urban dwelling brothers and sisters. But our passion for Israel is just as deep, and we are proud to add our voice. Now, when I was in graduate school, I spent some time exploring the key differences between small Jewish communities and the large Jewish centers. In the aggregate, I call these differences thinking small. The key concept of thinking small can be classified into 4 groups leveraged by parents and leaders in really a community of virtually any size or tradition. Number 1 is don't rely on large institutions or the professional class. Rather, reduce outsourcing by increasing parental and personal responsibility, clarify and articulate community values, and don't be afraid to set and clarify boundaries, which encourage living by community values. Now, the findings of my research indicate that when these principles are leveraged in a community, the strength of Jewish identity increases both at the individual as well as the community level. And there's a higher affinity with Israel. Children are more likely to return to their roots in their late 20s than are their peers in communities which do not employ these principles. So something people don't realize is that as large as Jewish National Fund is, one of the secrets to our success is thinking small, meeting the needs of individuals, families, and communities in Israel. And so I'd like to briefly share with you 3 of our domains in which JNF meets the challenges of thinking small and exceeds everyone's expectations. First is in education advocacy. The single largest provider of Israel engagement programs in the US, the Jewish National Fund offers numerous ways to connect young American Jews to Israel. And we believe that investing in education is critical to creating the next generation of Israel supporters and Zionists. JNF takes pride in its ability to provide and nurture future generations, both in the United States and in Israel. And as the rabbi said, since 1972, Alexander Muss High School in Israel has been delivering outstanding academics with the most amazing adventures. It's fully accredited by Middle States Association of Colleges and Schools and offers a robust curriculum, including Israel studies, general studies, experiential learning, college prep, and Jewish life. And the results of 50 years of education is that 65% as adults participate in a Jewish or Zionist organization compared to 18% of their peers. 80% donate to Jewish charities. 63% are members in a synagogue, and 88% of AMHSI alum marry a Jewish spouse, compared with 56% of their peers. So thinking small can impact one student at a time and then make a world of difference. Now, for our non-Jewish friends, we have a program called Caravan for Democracy. And this provides non-Jewish students with the opportunity to explore the Jewish and democratic country of Israel through meetings with political, cultural, community leaders from a variety of backgrounds and faiths. The goal of Caravan for Democracy is to facilitate constructive dialogue about Israel and the Middle East on college campuses across America. And all we ask of Caravan participants is that they facilitate a discussion about Israel in a public context on their campus in the spring semester immediately following their trip. Then we also have the Faculty Fellowship Program in Israel, which is a fully paid intensive program for full-time academics at a recognized university or other learning institution. All participants are introduced to and paired with an Israeli counterpart in their field of study. So they facilitate academic exchange, collaboration, research, teaching concepts, values, and then they're able to bring back to their institution what they have learned from their interaction with their peers, travel to historical sites, exposure to Israel's technological and scientific advancements, industry culture, and they hear from a lot of speakers, and they actually engage in debate amongst each other and with Israelis on a variety of topics such as academics, politics, and economics. So the program goes beyond the confines of conflict and demonstrates how Israel makes the world a better place. The word Macon means place. Macon community pioneers are made of young, creative, idealistic people from all sectors of Israeli society. They are working, living, and leading socially innovative initiatives throughout Israel. In other words, Macon members create places where living is not merely surviving, but thriving. JNF affiliate Macon designs educational programs, training, and materials that help make sense of how we can best be a free people in our land through deep exploration of freedom, peoplehood, security, and the land of Israel. And the goal is to open up explorations into the possibilities that modern Jewish life affords. Macon builds groups who move into communities in the Negev and the Galilee with a specific purpose or mission. It could be to improve education in a community, uplift a minority group, such as the Bedouin or the Druze, or to renew life in a declining kibbutz. So utilizing Macon's signature philosophy of hugging and wrestling with the Jewish people and with Israel, and that's such a deep phrase, their teams offer a cutting-edge approach that sparks and inspires Jewish people and Jewish hope across Israel. So the Jewish National Fund has chosen Macon to be a partner on the ground in developing its Blueprint Negev and Go North initiatives. Through a variety of innovative and special programs in employment, culture, education, and welfare, Macon community pioneers are developing Israel's frontier and impacting the lives of over 500,000 individuals. 200 communities represent all sectors of Israeli society: young educators, Ethiopians, artists, mountain Jews, Druze, Haredi, and other religious and secular pluralistic communities. And so these social startups are enhancing Israeli society. And this is how they are aligning themselves with JNF to bring 500,000 new residents to the Negev and 300,000 new residents to the Galilee from the center. We're literally moving people from the center to the periphery. One of our most popular domains of focus is that of special needs. Our LOTAM affiliate specializes in making the outdoors accessible to people of all ages and abilities. The Special and Uniform program provides a meaningful way for young Israelis with special abilities to serve in the Israeli Defense Forces. And the Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Center provides much sought after equine therapy to thousands of children and adults in the southern portion of Israel. I hope you've enjoyed our brief tour of how thinking small can result in big wins for Israel, Jewish communities, families, and individuals. And if small Jewish communities are important to you, please join our Facebook book at JNF Small Communities on Facebook. We'd love to see you there. And now, to give us a firsthand report on what is happening in the Arava region of the Negev, I would like to welcome Eva Lang from the Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Center at Kibbutz Grafit. Born in the Netherlands, Eva has always had a lifelong love for animals and helping people through her volunteering for different organizations in Holland. Filled with wanderlust, Eva traveled all over the world and made Aliyah to Eilat in 2017. Her love for nature and horses led her to Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Center, where she works with her colleagues to provide exceptional care and treatments for people with special needs living in Israel's southern frontier. Eva's love and passion permeates through her work as a fundraiser and social media manager for Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Center, and she is excited to share this love for equine therapy with her JNF USA family. Welcome, Eva.
Thank you, Sam. Hi, everyone. Normally, I would have loved to show you our farm, but at the moment, I'm in the USA. I just arrived at Denver. So I'm in the JNF office at the moment. So hopefully, if I'll see you again, I could actually give you a live tour of our center and you could see some of the horses. I would like to start out by explaining to you why Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Center was founded. It was founded by Rafi and Ellen. Ellen was actually from the USA, and together with Rafi, Ellen was a psychologist and Rafi was a licensed therapist and also a farm manager. And they founded Red Mountain Therapeutic Riding Center to keep families with special needs children in the Southern Arava, because when they founded it, in the middle 1990s, there was no facility in our Arava, the South Arava, that had anything to do with special needs. So if there was a family with a child with special needs, they had to move either to the center, to Tel Aviv, or to Jerusalem, or to the north, to Haifa, because there was just no facility in Eilat or the surrounding kibbutzim to help them and to give therapy. So this is why Rafi and Ellen together started out with around 8 horses and 10 clients, and they started from zero building this as volunteers. Currently, we have 26 horses. We just had a little one born, and we're trying to breed them ourselves because it's very costly to buy a therapeutic horse. It takes a lot of training and a lot of energy, food, vegetarian, farriers to get a horse up to being a therapy horse. And not every horse is able to become a therapy horse. It needs a special kind of horse, a special character to be able to be so calm, to have a child on top of it who maybe have spasms or other things that can normally or will normally frighten a horse. So our therapists actually train the horses themselves. And we just had a foal born, and we hope that many will come after that. So we will have more horses, because we now have 26 horses, but some of them are already old. So they work maybe an hour a week just to give them some exercise. And some of them are still too young to do the work. So we're always looking to add some horses. Our riders have a variety of physical and cognitive disabilities, some combined with complex medical conditions. And we have children with autism, we have children with CP, we have children with learning disabilities, emotional problems. It's a big variety, and not only children, but also young adults and adults. And at the moment, because of Corona, we have a lot of individual lessons, but on normal days, we have over 200 riders coming to our farm to get therapy. And a lot of them come from the special needs school in Eilat, and they come by bus. And the municipality of Eilat helps us by bringing them to us. And some of these children are in wheelchairs, and through a ramp, they're able to come up to the horse and sit on the horse. And we have volunteers who can provide help with people that aren't able to sit on the horse themselves. So they help them to sit up and to be more confident. They walk next to the horse, if necessary, on both sides. And these volunteers either come from abroad, or they come through what is called the National Service. And it's quite remarkable, because most of these people have got, let's say, special needs themselves. They don't go to the IDF, to the army, because they have an ability that prohibits them from going to the army. Maybe they have anxiety, or I don't know, there can be a variety of problems. And they come to us and they stay with us for 3 months. And through working with the horses, even they learn a lot, and their self-confidence grows. And it grows because if you work with horses, you need to be able to be a leader, because otherwise you'll be led by the horse. So they go into the meadows, they take a horse, they take care of the horses, they help us with all kinds of different chores. They clean the stables, they provide help to the children by being at their sides, helping them to get on the horse, stay on the horse, walk besides the horse. And by this, it also grows their self-confidence. And it's really cool to speak with them and to see how much they gain from volunteering at the farm. So it's not only the children that learn from this experience, but also the volunteers, and we wouldn't be able to function without them. At the moment, our team consists of 4 licensed therapeutic riding instructors. We have Ehud, we have Yaniv, we have Galia, and we just had somebody new join us, and her name is Lisa. And together with Rafi, they are the core team of our farm. So at the moment, we're fundraising to get the children from the schools with special needs back to us. We provide them with scholarships so they can come and have therapy at our farm every week during school hours. And we provide them with 3 free therapy. So their parents don't have to pay anything and everybody is able to come. So hopefully soon they will be able to come back to us. So our first need now is to get a lot of money together so they will be able to come back. One scholarship for 1 year costs around $3,000. So it's quite a lot of money, but on the other hand, they will get 3 hours a week, and they don't only ride the horse, but they also do little chores and things around the farm to help take care of the animals. So hopefully I'll be able to give you a tour in real life soon when Israel's opening up, and you'll be able to come to the farm so I can actually show you what goes on. And because I can't do this, I would love to show you a video so you can hear from one of the moms what it means to her that her son is getting therapy.
קוראים לי חיית, אני אמא של אור יוסף, הוא בן 15 כיום. הגיע לכאן בתחילת דרכו ילד סגור, לא מתקשר כל כך. דרך ההחלטה לבוא לפה ולהתחיל לרכב, גילינו מאיפה זה נובע לנו. גילינו שבכיתה ז' בבית ספר הישן הוא עבר חרם, לא פשוט. ולאט לאט מפגש אחרי מפגש, הוא והסוס הראשון שהיה לו, שזו אותה סימבה מדהימה, יצרה איזושהי התפתחות עדינה וקטנה, והרצון שלו להמשיך עם התחום. הוא ביקש לעבור לסוס אחר, הוא רצה לאתגר את עצמו לפאפ אם אני לא טועה, ושם נוצר קשר אחר לחלוטין, שהילד התחיל להיפתח. כשאני אומרת להיפתח, זה לבוא לפה מרצון, להקדים בחצי שעה קודם, וגם להיפתח בשטח. כאילו חוזרים הביתה ויוצאים ופוגשים אנשים, זה כן לספר מה הוא עושה, שזה לא היה. ובזכות כל התהליך ההדרגתי הזה עברנו בית ספר, בזכותו, מהבקשה שלו לעבור לבית ספר חדש, שיודע להכיל אותו. וזה רק העצים אותו, כי הם באו לכאן כקבוצה לרכיבה, והייתה בקשה ממנו להעלות את הרכיבה האלה 3 פעמים בשבוע, שנראה לי הזוי, אבל אני לא אומרת לא. אני רואה אצלו שינוי משמעותי בתקשורת, ברצון לשתף, לא לפחד להגיד קשה לי. כל התקפי הזעם שהיו לנו נעלמו. ואיך אומרים, הסוסים האלה זה העוצמה לשנות את עצמך בעצם. הדבר הכי חשוב זה שהמקום הזה שנקרא חוות גופית, זה לא חוות גופית אלא זה בית. בית בשם חוות גופית, מבחינתנו לא מחליפים אותו, וזה פשוט החוויה לבוא לפה, לראות את החיוך על הפנים, את הנצנוצים בעיניים והרצון להמשיך, וזה הביא אותו למצב שהוא מתעמל גם בפרטים, מאמן כושר ועושה תשתיות האלה. זה בית, ובית צריך לעזור לו לצמוח ולהראות לעולם שיש דבר אחד כזה בעולם, ואותו נשמור, ואנחנו כאן בשבילו. קודם כל תודה לכל מי שתרם ותורם לנו, ואנחנו נשמח שימשיכו לתמוך בנו ולתרום לנו כדי שנוכל לשמור על הבית הזה חי וקיים, ושכל הילדים שצריכים אותנו יוכלו לבוא ולהשתפר ולהיות אחר כך המדריכים הבאים במקום הזה.
אהבתי לרכב,
ועזרו לי להמשיך עם זה. זה היה עושה לי טוב גם שהיה קשה, וגם שלא היה בא לי הייתי תמיד בנתינה, אהבה לסוסים, בליצור עם חברים קשר ולדבר. נשמח שתמשיכו לתרום ושהמקום הזה יתקיים.
Yeah, it's great to see him talk himself. He's actually autistic, and we also have some autistic children that are not able to speak. And you see them like bloom up when they get onto the horse, and they're usually they're like looking down, and their visibility is very narrow. And then they get up on the horse, and suddenly they have this overview, and they feel so empowered. So it's really cool to see their whole attitude change. Does anybody have any questions? If so, please unmute yourself and ask.
Any questions?
I don't. I just think it's.
No questions? Okay. Then
I have a question, Eva.
Okay.
You mentioned volunteers.
Mhm.
Where do the volunteers come from?
The whole of Israel. And also normally when Israel's open, even from abroad, we also had volunteers coming from the States and coming from different countries all over the world just to help out. And they can stay at the kibbutz and they work with us, and they work very hard. They make very long days. They usually start at 6 in the morning and they end at 6 or 7 in the evening. It's hard work working with the horses.
And do you need prior experience with horses?
No, you do not. No, all the volunteers that come to us from the National Service, most of them don't have any experience, and we teach them everything.
Excellent.
I have
Yeah.
a question. When volunteers come to you, is there a place for them to stay with you, or do they have to find other arrangements if they're
Yes.
coming from out of the country?
Usually they can stay at Kibbutz Grafit, which is the same place as we are. We are like in the valley, and the kibbutz is on top of the hill.
I'm curious if you have a lot of occupational therapy students that come to see what you're doing, because I'm studying about that now. And I know that a lot of people are interested in the therapy with horses for occupational therapy.
Yeah, well, the system in Israel is different
Mhm.
because you have a split in your studies. And here in Israel, it's like one study. You become a therapeutic riding instructor. So it's all combined. But yes, they have to do internships. And for this, they can come to us. Yes.
I was wondering if I should tell some of my classmates about this program to see if any of them would want to actually experience this in Israel rather than.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Okay.
You can always ask them to contact us to see what the possibilities are. Sure.
So Eva, just to piggyback on what Sharona said, do you want to talk a little bit more about the physical benefits of horseback riding? We saw what the emotional benefits are, but there are a lot of physical benefits that people may not be aware of.
Yeah, the physical benefits, they all come from making your body stronger. We have a lot of kids that are not able to walk or not yet able to walk. And they can actually start lying on the horse. There's one of the movies where you see the child lying on the horse because it's not able to sit up straight. And by gradually sitting on the horse, they strengthen their core body, and being on the horse actually mimics, as no machine can do, the ability to walk. So by just sitting on the horse, you teach someone to walk. So that's why a lot of children suddenly start to walk after they have therapy on the horse. Great, Debbie, thanks. That's a good addition. Yeah, so that's why children in a wheelchair or children that have difficulties with spasms, because also for that it helps. It relaxes your whole body. You have to use a lot of muscles that you usually don't use, which you can see by going onto a horse, and the next day you'll be very stiff. So then you'll know that you've been using all these muscles that you usually don't. You use your musculars from your tummy, from your legs, from your back, from your arms. Every muscle is being used and trained at the same time. So there are a lot of physical advantages in horseback riding as well. And it also strengthens your body, so it gives you a good upright position. Yeah.
Well, we did various times, I think.
Yeah, and just unmute yourself so I can hear you. Maybe I'm able to do that. Yeah.
You did it good.
Yes.
A very long time ago, there was an organization that dealt with guide dogs. Are you connected with them at all?
No. We have birds, and I think we used to have guinea pigs, but we don't have any dogs. I sometimes take my dog, and she's like a therapeutic dog, because she's very sweet and she interacts with the children a lot. But no, we don't have any connections to dogs. And to be honest, I don't know if anything like that exists in our neighborhood. I haven't heard about it. So I don't think, because we're very secluded, we're all the way down south. To get to the nearest city is 1 hour, that's a lot. And to get to a major city, it's like 2.5 or 3 hours to get to Beersheba. So we're very secluded from the city life.
Well, it was a long time ago that I was connected with the guide dogs, and I didn't even know if it still exists, the program, any longer.
It will probably in the center, but as far as I know, not in the South Arava.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Eva, why did you end up in a small community in Israel so far away from a major city? Could you share how you ended up there?
Yeah, sure. I used to live in Amsterdam, and from Amsterdam, I moved to another city called Amstelveen, which is on the border with Amsterdam. And I always had the urge to move to a better climate, a warmer climate. And I traveled a lot, and I was just trying to find a place where I would feel at home, where it was warmer. And actually, by chance, I ended up in Eilat on a holiday, and I kept on returning there. I made friends, and from one came the other. I made Aliyah. So it was more by chance than anything else. And I fell in love with Eilat. It has a very slow pace to it. It's not like the big city life of Tel Aviv or Jerusalem or Amsterdam, which I was used to. And I wanted to slow down a little. And Eilat is like a village. So I was really happy to like have the heat, have the like slow paced kind of life. So that's the main reason. And I made friends.
I have a question.
Sure.
Couple questions. Well, number one, once when I was in Israel, I went to a center that trained guide dogs. So I know there is a guide dog center in Israel.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that there's I guess, I don't know, the police, they also train dog, canines for police dogs or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
They had some come over to the States, but they didn't know the commands because the commands were in Hebrew. So they had to find somebody who knew some Hebrew and tell them, we want the dog to do this. in English, and they had to find the Hebrew word to do it. That's just anecdotal.
That's very funny.
Yeah, and I know there was a place for blind dog training, but now, so the children come from all over the country. Is that right?
No, they come from the South Arava. Most
This
of
is
them
South
come.
Arava.
Yeah, most of them come from Eilat, and some of them come from the kibbutzim around us.
So they have to be referred there. Is that right?
They don't have to be, but most of them are, because then they get a portion of the payment back from the Kupat Cholim.
And how many days a week do they come for therapy?
That depends. Like this mother just told, her son used to come once a week, and then he nagged her to come 3 times a week.
But are there any other centers in Israel?
In Israel, yes, but not in the South Arava.
But there's other areas in Israel that
Yes.
therapy.
Yeah.
Therapy
Yeah, the therapy is how do you say that? It's like acknowledged by the government. So yes, there are other centers in Israel as well. Yeah.
That's the only one there.
One in the Arava. Yeah.
But we are the only one in the South Arava.
I was also wondering if you open your services up to people who are not Jewish as well.
Yeah. You don't have to be Jewish. No, not at all.
And is it open up to the Arab communities around there as well?
Yes, it's open up to anybody. Nobody takes note on what your religion, of your heritage, or whatever is. Yes, we're open to everyone. And you see a big diversity in people that come to us. And it's not just children, it's also adults. We have riders up in their 70s who are still coming. Any more questions? No? Well, then I would like to thank you. And I hope in the near future, you'll be able to come and visit us, and I can give you a life tour. Because then you can really see what is happening and how special it is.
Thank you so much, Eva.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sam, one thing.
David. Yes.
The Rabbi Rubenstein made reference to a gentleman. His name was Ezra Ravens, and he was like a JNF Shaliach, and he was in Atlanta. He came
Okay.
down, and he was the one that had the lived down south, like on the Jordanian border, grew tomatoes and some other stuff. Actually, he gave a talk to our Rotary Club about what he was doing, and et cetera, et cetera. That was, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago, but he made reference. So that was his name, Ezra Ravens. I don't know.
Okay, I'll have to look him up. That was before my time. But yes, there are agricultural endeavors down in that area, not too far from Kibbutz Grofit, as a matter of fact. And one of the interesting open secrets that Israelis help a lot of Jordanian farmers. And actually, up until just recently, there was a semi-open border where water was flowing across, resources, people, and then unfortunately, actually in coordination with the Abraham Accords, Jordan kind of said, "Oh, we don't want our people getting Israeli help anymore." So it's kind of a really strange thing. But for a long time, there's been on the Israeli side a lot of agricultural development and also helping out with the Jordanian communities. So yeah, I'll look him up and let you know. Anybody else have any comments, questions, observations? I'll even take a complaint.
I actually just thought of another question.
Yes.
If people come to volunteer and stay on the kibbutz, is there also a fee for the volunteers to pay at all for their, room and board, that kind of thing?
That's a really good question. And to be honest, I don't have the answer for that. But I can get back to you. If you or Sam, do you have Sharona's email address so I can ask Rafi and get back to her?
Absolutely, yes.
Great. I'll get back to you on that one. I have to find out because I've been there for a year, and this whole year it was closed. So nobody could actually come in. So all our volunteers were coming through the national service because there were just no tourists able to travel.
Right.
So I've never had to deal with this, unfortunately.
Well, thank you for all of the work you're doing. It sounds marvelous and it's amazing.
You're welcome.
David, anything else?
Not from my end, I don't think.
Okay. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you to the Macon and Middle Georgia Federation for hosting us this evening. And we will have this recording available for you to put on your website. And of course, it's co-branded, so we'll put it on ours, which will give you guys some additional visibility. And God willing, sometime in 2022, I'll be able to make a trip to your area and be able to meet with you all in person. I was able to meet the Frolics in August when I was driving through, and I would really like to meet more of the Macon community in the near future. So thank you very, very much. Shalom, shalom. Be well.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.